A woman in Alabama texts a friend the words, "If you see any report that I killed myself, I most definitely did not." 1 month later, she's found dead from a single gunshot wound to the head. The official ruling? Suicide. The case? Closed. Her name was Amy Eskridge. She was 34 years old, a plasma physicist, and she was building something that, on paper, shouldn't exist. Something the US government has been quietly funding, classifying, and burying for over 30 years. Something we were taught in school was impossible. Anti-gravity. Before we go further, this is Viral UFOs, the channel that follows the threads governments hope you'll never pull. If unexplained deaths, classified physics, and the fingerprints of a hidden aerospace program interest you, hit subscribe right now. We post these deep dives weekly, and you do not want to miss what's coming next. Let's start with the fundamentals. Anti-gravity, properly called gravity modification, is the theoretical ability to reduce, cancel, or reverse a gravitational field. Mainstream physics says it's nonsense. Einstein's relativity treats gravity as the curvature of space-time, not a force you can simply switch off with a device. But in 1992, a Russian physicist named Eugene Podkletnov claimed his rotating superconductor disk reduced the weight of objects placed above it by up to 2%. 2% doesn't sound like much, but if it's real, it rewrites physics. NASA took it seriously enough to spend years trying to replicate it. They couldn't. That's where our first scientist enters. Dr. Ning Li, a Chinese-American physicist at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. In the early 90s, she published peer-reviewed papers proposing a theoretical mechanism for how Podkletnov's effect might actually work, using rotating ions in a superconductor to generate what she called an AC gravitational field. Her math was respected. NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center funded her. Popular Mechanics covered her. She told reporters that with 1 kilowatt of power, her device could lift an object weighing roughly 1,000 pounds. By 1999, Ning Li was the most credible anti-gravity researcher on Earth. Then she vanished. In 2021, she received a $450,000 Defense Department contract. After that, silence. No papers, no interviews, phones disconnected. Colleagues at NASA said the Pentagon couldn't even reach her. For nearly a decade, the rumor was she'd defected to China to continue the work for Beijing. If you're new to the channel and stories like this are why you came, take 1 second right now and tap subscribe. The bell icon next to it sends you a notification the moment we drop a new investigation. We're closing in on a major series about Huntsville, Alabama, and trust me, you want to be there for episode 1. The truth about Ning Li is somehow stranger than the conspiracy. She didn't defect. According to a 2023 interview her son gave to the Huntsville Business Journal, she'd received top-secret clearance and was simply forbidden from speaking publicly. China did approach her in 2008. She refused. Then in 2014, while crossing a Huntsville street, Ning Li was struck by a vehicle. The brain damage was permanent. Her husband, witnessing the accident, suffered a fatal heart attack the following year. Li herself died in 2021 after years with dementia. Her DoD research? Still classified, to this day. So what was she actually building for the Pentagon? We don't know. We may never know. But here's where I want you to pay attention, because the second name on this list lived in the exact same small Alabama city, and her warnings before she died are something you cannot unhear. Amy Eskridge wasn't a household name. She was a polymath, a chemist, biologist, electrical engineer, and self-taught plasma physicist who co-founded an outfit called the Institute for Exotic Science. Her stated mission was, in her own words, to disclose anti-gravity technology before whoever was suppressing it could silence her. In 2020, she sat for an interview and said something chilling. If you stick your neck out in public, at least someone notices if your head gets chopped off. She told a former British intelligence officer named Frank Milburn that she was being attacked. Not metaphorically, physically, by a directed energy weapon. She sent photos of her hands, which she said had been burned. She described an RF K-band emitter, allegedly powered by 5 car batteries, inside an SUV parked near her home. In recently surfaced footage, she's typing on her laptop, panicking, saying her hands had been burned to hell and back. And then the text, sent to her business partner 1 month before her death. If you see any report that I killed myself, I most definitely did not. If you see any report that I overdosed, I most definitely did not. On June 11, 2022, Amy Eskridge was found dead. Single self-inflicted gunshot wound. Case closed. Quick pause. If you're still with me, you're the kind of viewer this channel was built for. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Drop a comment with the word Huntsville so the algorithm pushes this to more skeptics, and let's keep going. The 2026 update is where this story gets impossible to dismiss. Here's where the skeptic in me has to slow down. Eskridge's father, Richard, a retired NASA engineer himself, has publicly rejected the conspiracy theories. He says his daughter suffered chronic pain, that the suicide ruling is correct, and that, quote, scientists die also, just like other people. That voice deserves to be heard. But this April, in 2026, everything changed. The FBI launched a formal investigation into 11 scientist deaths and disappearances since 2022. Many were tied to NASA, Los Alamos, or classified aerospace programs. Congressman Eric Burleson says there is significant evidence Eskridge was targeted by a directed energy weapon. President Trump publicly called the cluster pretty serious stuff and promised answers within weeks. The House Oversight Committee is now demanding records from the Department of Energy, the Department of Defense, NASA, and the FBI. Eskridge is officially the 11th name on a list that grows almost monthly, and no one in power is calling it coincidence anymore. Here's the part that sits with me. 2 anti-gravity researchers. Same small city, Huntsville, Alabama. Same proximity to Marshall Space Flight Center, Redstone Arsenal, and the deepest aerospace black budget in the country. One was hit by a car and lost her mind before she could ever publish. The other was found shot after begging the world to remember she would never pull the trigger. I don't know what's true. I'm not going to pretend I do. Maybe Ning Li's accident was random. Maybe Amy's chronic pain caught up with her. Maybe anti-gravity is still science fiction, and the Pentagon just wastes $500,000 on every wild theory that crosses its desk. Maybe, or maybe somewhere in a vault at Redstone, sits the math that finishes what these 2 women started. Math we will never see, written by hands that no longer exist. If you want to keep pulling this thread with us, subscribe, stay skeptical, and keep watching the sky.